come into this house of hope and love, of peace and justice, of wholeness and healing. We welcome the certain and the seeking, the lifers and the newcomers, the beloved and the brokenhearted, all of whom can find a home in our community. Throop Unitarian Universalist Church, where we go love the world from the heart of Pasadena. Thank you all for showing up on this Sunday after Christmas. My name is Nick D'Augusto. My pronouns are he, him. I'm the intern minister here at Throop. Today is a Sunday that finds us amidst the throes of the longer winter holiday season, and for most of us still resonating in some way with the variety of emotions and memories, both challenging and joyful, surrounding Christmas. I'm resonating like a baritone from a cold, which Santa gave me. Also of note, Faith, our children's program director, is out of town today. This only applies to my son, so it's fine. Basically, he can just go wherever he wants if he wants to do anything. But if a child does show up, please remind them that they're welcome to stay. No one needs to leave. Today's one of those days. It's family, right? It's the holidays. In the Christmas hangover spirit, the work of Jesus will remain with us today. An aspect of his core ministry, his Sermon on the Mount from the Gospel of Matthew, will bridge us to today's theme of nonviolence and its most famous 20th century proponents, Mahatma Gandhi and the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. In addition to his beloved Hindu scriptures, as well as Henry David Thoreau's civil disobedience, Mahatma Gandhi revered the Gospel of Matthew's Sermon on the Mount as one of his most treasured personal scriptures. One thing you will notice, however, is that I have taken the license to adapt some of Matthew's language to fit our Unitarian Universalist spirits and sensibilities. My hope is that it might make some of this ancient language feel more resonant and fresh for all of us, myself included. One last little thing, a plug for my Bible study, which will be next month, Saturday, January 24th, on Paul's first letter to the Thessalonians. I mean, it sounds like fire, am I right? It is, it's great. If you haven't seen this in tidings or in your email and you're interested, please let me or Jessica know. Anyone here is welcome, even if you're a first timer. We begin by honoring this month's liturgical theme of light. The Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verses 14 through 16. You are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hid. People do not light a lamp and put it under the bushel basket. Rather, they put it on the lampstand, and it gives light to all in the home. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and be reawakened to the great mystery of being alive, the mysterious, eternal expanse of the timeless universe which surrounds us, and all the many gods and goddesses which answer to the infinite names. If you are new to Throop, we'd love to stay in touch. If you'd like, you can fill out an info card found in the pew and place it in the offering plate later in the service. Each one of us is a light in the world. The flame from our chalice symbolizes and reflects that light.
Our time together in worship is intimately connected with our daily lives. As a symbol of that connection, we light our chalice with a flame from our candles of hope and witness. May the light of your life reveal the wonder and mystery of the universe. We light a second candle to honor the people and ancestors whose lands we now occupy. The land under and around Throop is the unceded land of the Gabrielino Tongva Band of Mission Indian people. May this knowledge and awareness lead us into dismantling systems of supremacies and oppressions. We light a third candle symbolizing our watershed, the Arroyo Seco. May their waters continue to nourish life in our communities. We take a moment of silence, holding all of these in our heart. And now, if you may rise, we'll be singing Let This Be Our House of Peace, 1054 in the Teal hymnal.
All right, this is the moment at Throop where we all say hi and introduce ourselves to new people or high five those we know. Play it however you want to.
Our religious practices are a way we can ritualize our commitments to self-care. Rest and recuperation of our body and soul allows us to better serve the world. At Throop, we hold the world at the center of our religious lives when we recite weekly the following promise to our planet, which can be found in your order of service. As members of the family of living beings on earth, we are guided by the Unitarian Universalist principle of respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part, with hearts filled with love for it, eyes nurtured by its beauty, and minds ruminating on ways to protect its sacred and scarce resources, we promise to nurture the well-being of all life and of the planet itself.
This is our section for wisdom from our Unitarian Universalist tradition. And we'll continue with the Sermon on the Mount from Matthew chapter 6, verses 5 through 14. And whenever you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, doing whatever they can to get the most attention so that they may be seen by others. But when you pray, go into your room, shut the door, and pray in solitude to the great divinity which lies in secret. And in your meditation, you will meet the quiet, humble frequency that is always there, waiting for you, relishing the idea of being discovered. When you are praying, do not heap up empty phrases as those so-called religious people do. Do not be like them, for the Eternal knows you and your needs without needing to be asked. Pray then in this way. To you, O great mystery, the God eternal, may your existence be revered as holy. May your abundant splendor be recognized by all. May your spirit be embodied on earth as we who love you feel it in the universe. Please take care of us today and reflect back to us a world of forgiveness as we work to offer that forgiveness to others. And please, let us live our values without contradiction, knowing as we do that we are all too human. Amen, and blessed be.
I am not the things my family did. I am not the voices in my head. I am not the pieces of the brokenness inside. I am light. I am light.
The mistakes that I have made, or any of the things that caused me pain. I
Our wisdom today, inspired by our author, is a reading from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, verses 25 through 34. Try not to worry so much about the things you have, the clothes you wear. Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet the great mystery of nature feeds them. Are you not at least equal in value to the birds? And which of you, by worrying, can add a single hour to your span of life? Why worry about having so many fancy things? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin, yet I tell you, even the richest in history were not clothed in fancy things like one of these. You are like the lily. No clothing or adornment can outshine the unique brilliance that is you. So don't worry about what may or may not come, for tomorrow will bring worries of its own. Live in this day. Live in the troubles, beauty and present of today.
Stand like an oak, an aspen, an alder. It's in you, don't falter. If so, then I got you. Make it one taller. Anything that makes you feel smaller, leave it by the angels of the water. Push 'em up, push 'em up. Put away your cares. Fold them, fold up your fears. Push 'em up, push 'em up. Put away your cares. Fold them, fold up your fears. I said, come to this river. Give me your arms. Lean back. There's nothing to be alarmed of. He said, the more I know, the more I dig. And the more I return to myself around every bend. Push 'em up, push 'em up. Put away your cares. Fold them, fold up your fears. Stand like an oak, an aspen, an alder. It's in you, don't falter. If so, then I got you. Make it up taller. Anything that makes you feel smaller, leave it by the angels of the water.
This church is our church. We support it through our gifts of time, our gift of talent, and our gifts of treasure. We pause each week in worship for a moment of financial generosity and ask you to make a donation to Throop. You can give online. The directions are in the order of worship, or place your gift in the offering plate. If you are a first-time visitor, please let the offering plate pass you by. Thank you for supporting our life together. The offering will now be gratefully received.
I play the teacher, the preacher, maintaining posture, separating me and you, as if the thoughts of God were mine and mine to speak. I've listened with an agenda so I could prove all of the stuff that I believe to be true, just to hide from the fear of being weak. Burn the scorecards, balance out the scales. We are one wind, distracted by our different sails. Underneath, it's detectable with eyes. Every particle's vibrating with the same rise. Keep running around, deciding who's right and wrong. Tell me, where are we headed? How can we all belong? When all our logic is colliding, it's constantly dividing from you. So damn those eager protestations on your tongue. Shut your brain up long enough to hear the underneath, it's detectable with eyes. Every particle's vibrating with the one beyond the land of the right, the land of the wrong. There's a feeling waiting for us. All the notions of you, the notions of me, we finally agree don't mean a thing. Burn the scorecards, balance out the scales. We are one wind, distracted by our different sails. Damn those eager protestations on your tongue. Shut your brain up long enough to hear the lonely hum. Underneath, what's detectable with eyes? Beyond the land of the right and the wrong. Every particle's vibrating with the one. Burn the scorecards, balance out the scales. We are one when distracted by our different sails. Underneath, what's detectable with eyes? Every particle's vibrating with the one light.
Thank you so much. In a spirit of gratitude, we lift up our thanks to those supporting our worship service today. Matthew, our worship associate, really, they're an all-star today. They're kind of doing everything, so I appreciate it. To Ripley and really all the Ryans. It's a real group effort today, everybody over on live stream. Thank you. Tom, our coffee and conversation host. Malcolm and the choir on music. Jessica for administrative support. And Reverend Tara is getting a little bit of rest for her guidance and care. And as we pause in recognition for all the ways we support our Throop community life, please say with me the words of gratitude which are in your order of service. With gratitude for the ministries of the church that hold us and embolden us to love the world, we bless our offering and the many gifts we share. Our centering hymn is Dayuna Naish, number 1032 in your teal hymnal.
none sleep. None sleep.
This is a moment for prayer and shared stillness. Matthew chapter 5, verses 38 through 48. You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, do not show violence back to the evildoer. If anyone strikes you on the right cheek, turn the other also. You hear it said all the time, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Then you will be in alignment with the truth of this world. The fact that the sun rises on the evil and on the good alike, and sends rain on the loving and on the hateful. For if you only love those who love you, what new love can be gained? And if you only value the inherent worth and dignity of those you call yours, what more are you doing than others? Sermon on the Mount reminds us that we are the light of the world, that we should shine brightly, but pray humbly, that we are called to trust in the transformative power of forgiveness, that amidst our troubles and sufferings, we can sense and perceive the divine in the natural world around us. And finally, and most importantly for our theme today, that violence does not beget justice, peace, or meaningful change. Violence begets only more violence. So somehow, someone must choose to stop that cycle of violence. The tragic, heartbreaking fact is that only the most recent victim is the one who can stop that cycle. They are the only one who can choose to wield the weapon of nonviolent resistance rather than the weapon of violent destruction. How is any normal human being supposed to do this? Don't skirt past the paradoxical use of the word weapon, by the way. Nonviolence is a weapon. If we don't recognize that we can defend ourselves with nonviolence, those of us seeking a peaceful resolution to a situation can feel like we're unarmed. And in a moment of fear, rage, and anger, it is much easier, much more tempting, if unarmed, to reach for the weapon of violence as we impulsively seek to defend ourselves. The weapon of nonviolent resistance is not wielded in an absence of anger, rage, and fear. It is the weapon we consciously holster in order to transform those energies so prone to violence into the greater weapons of love and forgiveness. There are many activists and models of nonviolent resistance in history worth honoring, persons of all races and genders, women like Sophie Scholl, Fannie Lou Hamer, Marsha P. Johnson, Sylvia Rivera, Malala Yousafzai, but the preeminent names associated with 20th century nonviolent resistance are men, luminaries. They are Mahatma Gandhi and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It's an address from the Reverend Dr. King to the War Resisters League in 1959 that will be my guiding source for this sermon today. But first, I got to begin with a ridiculous story about an altercation in a steam room. My family has had a membership to the Los Angeles Athletic Club downtown for over a decade. It's where we like to work out, play in the pool. It's a privilege to have this membership. And it's important that I name that as I ask for your generous ears before I tell you about this absurd story where a man almost started a fight with me while we were wearing nothing but towels in a steam room. It is okay to laugh. Wow, steam rooms work on a cycle. If you didn't know this, there is a temperature gauge that registers when the heat has fallen below a certain temperature in the room. When it does, it triggers the system to begin pumping out the steam again. Over the last few years, it's become more common for guys at this club to enter the steam room with a cup of cold water in their hand, and no matter how hot it is in there or how recently the steam was pumping out, to throw cold water on the temperature gauge and jumpstart the steam cycle again. Well, I'm sensitive to the heat at that level. I don't like it. It gets too hot. I can't stay in the steam room. I like the temperature to not crest the level it's set not to crest. And I've grown weary of just letting people do this routine without asking the others in the room if they'd be okay with it. Some guys do ask, and I do say no sometimes, and they're cool about it. But there is a gentleman who never asks and just walks in and juices the thing, and he and I are at the gym and eventually the steam room nearly every Saturday morning together. One time, maybe a year ago, I asked him to stop before he did it, and he did. It didn't seem to amount to anything then. But when I did the same thing recently, it played out much differently. This time, the very instant after I asked him to not throw the water because the steam cycle had just finished, this man came directly at me with a fury and started calling me names. He started yelling. He got in my face. He started appealing to the 3 other men in the room, some of whom he knew, demanding they agree with him that this is a steam room, right? Isn't this a steam room? It was such an irrational, unbalanced, inconsiderate barrage with so many statements full of such lack of awareness. It was difficult to comprehend in the moment how to respond. And I was in such a vulnerable place, confined in this tiny room with only one exit, nobody else in there that I knew. My adrenaline skyrocketed. I was afraid. And I felt my rage and my defenses instantly armed. I'm grateful to say that with good fortune and help from some recent seminary training, I was able to verbally reflect back to him at one point, with my hands up in a sort of defense and a sign of peace, that he was demonstrating an enormous amount of anger and anxiety directed at me. This sent him into a second fury, and though there were more words, this was in essence the end of that altercation. It did not ratchet up any further. I didn't leave the steam room. I sat there mostly stunned and in shock, but also not willing to budge. Eventually, he, somewhat hilariously, apologized specifically to everyone except me in the room, and then he walked out. And I believe he left in shame, which was justified. I go into this story not because I believe it is some grand demonstration of nonviolent resistance. It is, in fact, a laughingly minor example of physical threat when compared to the fears and hostilities many people are facing today in our country. We see it in so many videos right now. We are inundated with violent video. No, I am telling you this story because at this stage of my life, education, and reflection on my personal privilege, this moment gave me a window into the cost of nonviolent resistance. It gave me a window into the trauma and the difficulty one must personally and consciously take on to truly live into this way of being in the world. The following are 5 short excerpts from Reverend Dr. King's address in 1959, where he speaks so eloquently about the value and the cost of adhering to the path of nonviolent resistance. He begins, "My study of Gandhi convinced me that true pacifism is not non-resistance to evil, but nonviolent resistance to evil. Between the two positions, there is a world of difference. Gandhi resisted evil with as much vigor and power as the violent resistor, but he resisted with love instead of hate. True pacifism is not unrealistic submission to evil power. It is rather a courageous confrontation of evil by the power of love, in the faith that it is better to be the recipient of violence than the inflictor of it, since the latter only multiplies the existence of violence and bitterness in the universe, while the former may develop a sense of shame in the opponent and thereby bring about a transformation and change of heart. It must be emphasized that nonviolent resistance is not a method for cowards. It does resist. If one uses this method because they are afraid or merely because they lack the instruments of violence, they are not truly nonviolent. A basic fact that characterizes nonviolence is that it does not seek to defeat or humiliate the opponent, but to win their friendship and understanding. The nonviolent resistor must often express their protest through non-cooperation or boycotts, but they realize that these are not ends themselves. They are merely means to awaken a sense of moral shame in the opponent. The end is redemption and reconciliation. The aftermath of nonviolence is the creation of the beloved community, while the aftermath of violence is tragic bitterness. Another point that characterizes nonviolent resistance is a willingness to accept suffering without retaliation, to accept blows from the opponent without striking back. Nonviolent resistance avoids not only external physical violence, but also internal violence of spirit. The nonviolent resistor not only refuses to shoot their opponent, but they also refuse to hate them. At the center of nonviolence stands the principle of love. The nonviolent resistor would contend that in the struggle for human dignity, the oppressed people of the world must not succumb to the temptation of becoming bitter or indulging in hate campaigns. How much does he talk about hate? And I cut out so much of his speech. To retaliate in kind would do nothing but intensify the existence of hate in the universe. Along the way of life, someone must have sense enough and morality enough to cut off the chain of hate. This can only be done by projecting the ethic of love to the center of our lives. Love at the center. Sound familiar? I will never know the fear and the rage that Martin Luther King and his siblings were forced to endure. Nor can I truly know the fear and the rage that many of our siblings are living under today. In this era of indiscriminate assault on immigrants and trans folk and bodies that can carry babies and humans that can't access appropriate health care. But I got a small window into what it means to really eat someone else's crap and try to go home and be a good father who, in his fury, isn't solely ideating on ways to enact revenge. I got a small window into what it's like when a place of joy and calm and refuge suddenly becomes a place of anxiety and fear and physical threat. For weeks, when I returned on those Saturday mornings, I would get anxious, I was on edge, I was ideating the possible scenarios, my potential responses, should he do this or that, or say this or that? What does religion have to do with nonviolence? Do we have to be religious to practice it? I don't think so, but it seems noteworthy that our two greatest examples of nonviolent leaders were so obviously and authentically rooted in their religious devotion. How might religion help us practice nonviolence? Religion should help break our hearts open to the experiences of others, sufferings and the pain, the oppression of others. Religion should provide us with a space where we can bring this excess hurt, this unfair, unwarranted, oppressive pain, and understand that our nonviolent resistance was a noble response. I wrote a sermon about it. Religion should provide a higher power or a concept of God that we trust acknowledges our action in secret when no other human perceives it. Religion should provide a community that holds us in our hurt when the instigator and violent actor is left unscathed by nothing more than our hope for the imminent dawning of their moral shame, which may not come. There's a hard road, nonviolence. And it is, if you believe what King and Hamer and Scholl and Rivera and Gandhi and so many others lived for and died for, the only road to genuine transformative societal change. As Gandhi says, there is no way to peace. Peace is the way. Finally met that guy in the steam room again. He walked in with a cup of water, as usual. He saw me. This time, he poured it on the ground. It was just the two of us in there together for like 5 minutes. It was crazy. It was so rare. And neither of us said a word. Most of your stories aren't going to have easy, harmless endings like this. And many of your stories are not going to be confined to just one person, one institution, or even one era in the history of time. But every day, each moment in every day where you take the risk to not respond with hate, with violence, with unchecked rage. That is a holy moment and one worth honoring. And here in this moment now, in the weeks and years to come, may you find a home and people amongst whom you can release the pain and hurt you are carrying so nobly. Let this be a house of peace. Peace is the way. Amen, and blessed be. Our closing hymn is Open the Window, number 1022 in our teal hymnals. Open up the windows of your hearts and your hands. Please take the hand or shoulder of someone near to you, or reach out to someone across the room, raise them in the air and dance around in a circle, whatever you want to do. The flames from our chalice and our candles are extinguished. Their light lives on, shining brightly in each of us, the flames binding our community as they empower us to reach toward justice. Go. Live into yourself, and by doing so, inspire others to do the same. Amen, and blessed be.
actually sing this too because like we've got extra verses and